Hello, friends. Welcome to a new session of STEM Talks with Leaders. I am your host, Bhuvan Verma. This is a special series recorded by India STEM Foundation with STEM Conf Expo. With the demand of STEM talent getting higher than ever, educators are feeling that they require new and innovative ways to prepare the next generation of scientists, not just from the science domain, but from commerce and humanities, and you name it. So STEM Conf Expo provides positive experiential opportunity for learning and showcasing emerging technology available in the EdTech space. We have their link in the description below. We are engaging students to meet the challenge of global technology-driven society through innovation, collaboration, and creative problem solving. Through this session, we are going to learn about the STEM way of thinking directly from leaders' experience. Today, we have someone very special for you, Vineet Srivastava, who's founder of WIBYTE, and we welcome him to the show. Hello, Vineet. How are you?
Thank you so much, Bhuvan. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for organizing these talks and having me here for one of these sessions. Thanks a lot.
Hooray! So driving straight into the questions, Vineet, our students are curious to know, what are you tinkering with these days?
Sure, Bhuvan. So, I'm fundamentally a maker, a tinkerer. Most of my time these days goes in tinkering with code. As you know, I'm running WIBYTE, and we are on a mission to provide very high quality coding lessons to young kids, right? So which means I spend a lot of time building curriculum for them, creating lesson plans, creating activities that students can do themselves and learn from. And that's pretty much what I'm doing these days.
Excellent, excellent. So you're working on an entrepreneurial aspect of, digital transformation of learning and STEM education. Okay, Vineet, our students are also interested in knowing, why are industry leaders so interested in STEM and STEAM education?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, Bhuvan. I mean, if you look at the world going forward, the world is changing really fast. And I think, careers of future will be built on three core things, right? One, a core specialty, which somebody can, really call his or her own. Two, a broad-based thinking, which is, able to connect dots across, let's say, different domains. And three, a soft skill, full personality, let's say communication skills, teamwork, and so on, right? And the reason industry leaders feel so excited about STEM education or STEAM education is because fundamentally it provides students with all these three, right? A core that they can build on, a broad outlook, as well as the soft skills of teamwork and so on. So I think that's the reason STEM education can provide great opportunities for students going forward, and that's why we are so interested in it.
Excellent. So students, you have to pay attention. The three core areas which Vineet mentioned are very critical: soft skill development, broad-based or integrated learning, and speciality that you want to pursue in life, and explore more and more. So Vineet, this also prompts me to ask you that how does STEM education help students learn entrepreneurship?
Yeah, actually, that's a fantastic question. I mean, think about it, right? Fundamentally, entrepreneurship is all about creating value by solving problems. And if you think about it, STEM is pretty much that, right? We are getting students to solve problems in a way that it creates value. So either the solution is unique or the problem that you've identified is unique, right? So STEM, in fact, gives you the right kind of way to approach entrepreneurship. So that's sort of one aspect of it. The second aspect is that entrepreneurship by nature is very unpredictable, right? So STEM education teaches you how to keep moving forward when answers are not clear. I mean, you're never going to get like 100% answers, but you still have to keep moving forward. So I think in both ways, by getting students to solve the right kind of problems, and also the attitude. So in both ways, I feel STEM really helps in entrepreneurship.
Very well said and very well articulated, Vineet. I must compliment. And from this, it takes me to my next question, which is that, while you said never give up, keep exploring, keep doing new things, don't let the process stop. How important is hands-on learning in this journey for school students?
Yeah, I think it's the importance of hands-on learning cannot be overemphasized. In fact, I have seen this with my own eyes. Our entire coding program is completely hands-on, and I see the benefit it does. Right? I mean, it's very simple, Bhuvan. There's a saying that I see and I forget, I hear, I might remember, I do and I understand. Right? So when it comes to science, mathematics, in fact, any subject, right? Once you do something with your own hands, that is when you remember, right? Now, the other aspect really is that there is so much to learn these days, right? So, if students are not given a hands-on approach, I think they're just going to get inundated in the amount of information that they have to, say, memorize or something, right? So, I really think hands-on learning is the way to go. And, I hope more and more students will and schools will incorporate that in their curriculum.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that insight, Vineet. I'm sure our students are learning from this, that application of what they learn, testing out what they are learning is very important in social, technological, and exchange mediums. Wow, brilliant. Okay, so to the next question for you, any myth or misconception around STEM that you've heard from students, parents, or peers that you engage with?
Yeah. So, STEM is something that is very exciting to a lot of people, but I also feel that it creates that same excitement creates a bit of misconception that STEM is something very fancy, right? Only, the best of schools and the best of platforms will offer STEM, right? And I feel quite sad about it because I think, in my opinion, STEM is, while it's a great methodology, it's also an attitude. I mean, there is opportunities for you to tinker around all the time. I mean, you are surrounded with technology today. You are surrounded with things that you can think about how they are working. In fact, one of the things I used to get people to do is to take apart old toys and old electronics, which is just lying freely at their own house, right? So you can learn things in a STEM manner, sitting at your own house, right? And in fact, just to add to that point, right, internet has completely changed the whole story, right? So previously, maybe it was true that STEM was available only in the elite places of learning, but today you can have, STEM education. It's more in your mind, right? If you have the right attitude, you have all the resources in this world to pursue it, no matter where you are.
Absolutely. So very well put. To my students, STEM is an attitude, and that's the way forward to find a solution and move ahead. In the wake of this response that you've shared with our students, Vineet, I want to ask you, how does STEM education at school help in social integration?
I think, again, Bhuvan, a very good question. STEM, I think, could be a great enabler for social integration. And the reason is very simple, right? Because fundamentally, we are dealing with, let's say, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, these subjects are kind of like universal, right? So whether you are sitting in India or you are sitting in Dubai or you are sitting, let's say, in the United States, 2 plus 2 is 4 for everybody, right? So which means that there is an instant connect when it comes to these subjects, right? So there's this universal truth nature to this, which basically connects everybody, right? And number two thing is that STEM is all about problem solving, right? So when you get people together to solve a problem, the focus shifts from the people's individual habits and languages and differences to let's say on the problem, right? And we in fact see that. So our classes are completely global. We get students from 15, 16 countries sitting together, and I just see that happening all the time. The social integration that you mentioned is just so visible for me, right? Because we focus on the problems.
Wow, you just opened up the conversation and made it global for our students to, experience the joy of cross-cultural exchange. Okay, so now that we are talking about the globe and, 9 billion people who inhabit it, tell us your STEM leader, the leader that you follow, in the area of STEM or who pursues STEM way of thinking.
Sure. So, Bhuvan, I must say I've been very fortunate in my entire life to have met people who have really helped me, who I've learned from, and I've met them like pretty much on a daily basis, right? But people that I've worked with, people that I've learned from. So I've been very fortunate that way, right? But if I were to pick up one person, right, who kind of really personifies this whole thing, it has to be Professor Arvind Gupta. You would have seen his videos, Toys from Trash. The reason I pick him up is because, I mean, first of all, his contribution to STEM is phenomenal. And number two, I think he personifies what I said earlier, that STEM is not something elite. I mean, he picks up things from your own house, making some science models using toothpicks, for example, or some old toothpaste, right? So I think it really, really drives this point that STEM is for everybody, provided we have the right attitude. It doesn't require some special equipment or something. It is really for everybody, and I really wish everybody, sees that message.
A big shout out to Professor Arvind Gupta from Vineet, and we'll tag him in the video as well. Okay, so moving on to our next question to you that, our students will really benefit from. What are some of the career choices that our students who are pursuing STEM way of thinking can aspire for in the future?
So good question again, Bhuvan. I think STEM is something very fundamental. So, the problem solving skills students are going to pick up will be kind of universal, right? So I think careers are like plenty. Now, if you just look at some specific areas, right? So these days, there's a lot of talk about, say, for example, Industry 4.0, which is kind of like amalgamation of IoT, programming, machine learning, and so on to deliver better outcomes, say, in the industrial landscape, right? Then there's, recently with the COVID, we saw the vaccine, and the pharmaceutical industry picking up really well, right? Next, we have, for example, the clean energy sector, right? We are talking of, there's so much talk of petrol prices being high. That's one, and also the global warming angle to it, right? So clean energy is another area. And on that light, also the electric vehicles, or say going forward, vehicles move with, let's say, hydrogen and so on, right? So those are other areas. Another area, two other areas with particular relevance to India, I would say, would be space technology, lots of action, and then recently semiconductors. As you know, government recently announced huge investments in semiconductors, and I think those, especially coming from a semiconductor background, I can say it's going to be an exciting area that students can pursue in future.
Hooray, hooray. So something our students can look forward to. These are all meaningful areas that need more exploration by our students. I encourage them to go online, Google these topics or YouTube these topics and acquire more knowledge about it so that they can ask what is unknown in these areas. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Vineet. Okay, to my next question. Although I know your love is for the binary, so we want a clear answer from you. What is your favorite equation, formula, or code, and why?
Oh, thanks, Bhuvan, for asking this question. My love is for binary for sure, but I'm also an avid poetry reader. I love music. So there's many quotations that have inspired me, but I picked up one, especially for our students today. And this goes to Bollywood, in fact, right? So there's this, song that I heard, which I really thought is relevant, right? That hum jaisa dekhe ye jahan hai waisa hi. Khulkar soche aao, rang naye dikhraao. So I just translate that. The world is full of opportunities, right? It's up to us to view them, to look at the world with open mind and go for it, because really the world is open field, right? So I hope that answered your question. Not so binary, but really this is one of the many quotations that inspires me.
Wah, wah, wah. Arre wah. This is amazing. This is the first time someone has recited poetry, and I really do love poetry myself. It is a way of putting the world in a few words to explain what is happening. Thank you so much, Vineet, for sharing, that poem with our students. Okay, moving on to my next question to you. Which is your favorite STEAM subject and why?
So, I'm fundamentally an electrical engineer. I studied in National University of Singapore, did my bachelor's, master's there. And till date, I still pursue electrical engineering in the semiconductor space. So certainly that's my favorite subject. And the reason it's so interesting to me is that, it's something very fundamental. So as you and I are talking, there are like multiple instances of electrical engineering happening, even in this call. So we all love our devices and so on. So we see the benefits here, but also at a deeper level, right? It's amazing how abstract mathematics, mathematics, which was done maybe many 100 years ago, right? And people never thought there's a use for it. But today, it's used in things like your cellular networks and even in the Zoom call. So those things are really amazing to me, how electrical engineering as a subject is vast, but it also connects the different dots, the mathematics, the science, and the engineering. And of course, the technology, which we are also used to now. So certainly, electrical engineering. Yeah.
Excellent. Our students are getting energized now. So you come from an electrical engineering background. And while we rely a lot on, electrical engineering, while we are communicating, or even, the world happening outside, there are failures which happen maybe due to solar mass ejections, or maybe due to power outages, or maybe due to electrical engineering failures. How does one resolve? How does one deal with failures and rejection and move on and solve? Please guide our students on what is your mantra.
Sure, Bhuvan. I mean, this is again a beautiful question because failures are a part of life. In fact, I have myself seen in my own life that there are many students and my own friends, right, who have done really well sometimes in life, but they were not the ones who always did well, right? So they failed, they picked up the pieces and moved on, right? So I think the way to look at it, and it's a practical advice, right, is that if you think something is very dear to you, some particular outcome, there's always a point, for example, some project submission or some result, try to do something else once that thing is over, right? So that when the result comes, even if it's good, then very good. If it's not so good, then you have something else to look forward to, right? So the important point to understand is that if you're not failing enough, right, it means that you are probably not even trying enough, right? So just being successful, you're in a comfort zone and you're not doing yourself a favor, right? And again, just to end on a slightly poetic note, a very famous song we hear from Bollywood, Ruk Jana Nahi Tu Kahin Haar Ke, Kaanton Pe Chal Ke Milenge Saaye Bahar Ke. So that's my mantra, Bhuvan, and I hope that helps the students too. So never stop, keep moving.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Vineet, for sharing your insights with our students, with me, on the critical issues that are related to the STEM education and STEM pedagogy. Thank you so much.
Bhuvan, thanks for having me. I think these talks are very inspirational, a lot of learning for us as well. So thanks so much for organizing this.
Excellent, excellent. So guys, this talk was hosted by India STEM Foundation in partnership with STEM Confex India 2022, which is being organized between 22nd and 24th July 2022 at the India Exposition Mart Limited, Greater Noida, Delhi NCR, India. We look forward to your participation and hope the event will provide middle and high school students and primary school students, teachers, educators, and parents with opportunities to participate in this unique, concurrent, hands-on workshops, sessions related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The event will host categories including but not limited to robotics, games, coding toys, AR, VR, 3D printers, kits across the subjects, electronics and digital learning tools. So I encourage you to visit this place when the event happens. Until we open a Robo Shiksha Kendra near you, I hope that you keep tinkering and watching these videos and sharing these videos with your parents and peers. This is Bhuvan signing off. Namaskar.